comes to leading-edge technology, Mitsubishi likes to be ahead of the game, and this is a prime example of that drive. The Evolution has come a long way since it was first introduced to the world in 1992, but it remains one of the greatest rally cars in the history of, well, everything. It was so ahead of its time that it's become a legend, and so it's very sad that the car as we know it will soon be leaving us. The problem with leading-edge technology is that it constantly has to change to stay ahead, and from time to time that means doing something radical. The current boss of Mitsubishi said recently that although the firm had kept the Lancer Evolution evolving as the brand's highest performing model, the market's needs and demands had changed. As a result, Mitsubishi would no longer be advancing the Lancer Evolution concept in the same way. Reading between the lines then, it is very clear that the car's current high CO2 output has been deemed highly unacceptable as Mitsubishi commits itself to a low emissions development plan focused on hybrid models and EVs, or electric vehicles. So at the time of going to air, the future of the Evo remained shrouded in secrecy and speculation. Autocar recently published an article stating that sources in Japan had confirmed that a project to switch the car to a petrol hybrid powertrain had been abandoned, but that the firm's R&D department had been given approval to push the car in a totally different direction: a diesel hybrid. The aim being to allow the Evo 11 to deliver a 0 to 62 miles per hour time of under 5 seconds, yet cut CO2 emissions to well under 200 grams per kilogram, which would be somewhat astounding if true. But what about the sound, driving dynamics, and of course the iconic style of the car? Well, that of course remains a mystery, and all we know for sure is that the new car will be vastly different to the Evo 10. But there is some good news, because the company has confirmed that it will press on with the 2-litre turbocharged car's current production run, and as yet, no date has been set for its demise. So for now, the Evo 10 remains in production, and what a machine it is! Driver's car, it's absolutely phenomenally, amazingly brilliant. Its handling is so good, it's like Jessica Alba's smile or Megan Fox's thighs. Faultless. Oh, that is good. This is the FQ330. It's the midpoint in the 3-tier range of Evo. And it comes equipped with Mitsubishi's twin-clutch SST semi-automatic gearbox. That means that you can change gear down here, as you would normally, backwards and forwards, or up here on the steering wheel with Formula 1 style paddle shifts. This monster feels every bit the street-legal rally car that you would expect. And that 4-wheel drive system combined with some very clever electronics help to keep the Evo's ferocious power under control. But even with all the electronics switched off, this car has immense grip and stays superbly balanced, so it is great, safe fun. The ride is firm but not too raw, and although this car is certainly no Lexus, it is not entirely uncivilized. The engine still sounds suitably savage when you're giving it large, but when you settle down to a cruise, all of that calms down. So this latest version of the Evo then is a pretty good package. Prices start at over £27,000, but when you consider that you're getting something that will put the fear of God into most supercars, you soon realise that the Evo is a bargain. As you can imagine, this car is incredibly desirable, and so the security on board is incredibly good too. It has a brilliant alarm and an immobiliser. It even has a very clever system that can track and remotely immobilise a stolen car. Recaro bucket seats come as standard, so there's plenty of support to keep you in place when you're cornering hard, at high speeds, sideways. The ludicrous power and unbelievable grip makes the FQ330 one of the fastest touring machines known to man. In fact, there is very little that could keep up with this car on the bends, aside perhaps from something like a Subaru Impreza or a Nissan GTR. Even then, the Subaru may struggle to keep up here and there, and the Nissan would certainly find it difficult to put any serious distance between itself and an Evo. This car is a real rebel. It gives you more confidence in your own driving ability than any other car on the market. You feel safe at any speed, and you have to be very careful because this car inspires what I would call a Pirates of the Caribbean attitude towards speed limits. They're more guidelines than actual limits. Now, I know that some of you will be watching this tutting and rolling your eyes at such a statement, but it is true. And is it really such a bad thing in this day and age? See, you have to remember that our speed limits were set in a different age. They were set with cars like the Morris Minor in mind. Now, I'm not going to condone breaking the laws of the land in any way, but I think that we're all quite within our rights to question whether these draconian limits should be revised. You see, the 70-mile-an-hour speed limit that everyone raves on about was set in 1965 as a reaction to a spate of serious accidents in heavy fog. It was a temporary safety measure, not one of the 10 Commandments. No debate, no consultation with the police or any motoring organisations, just a law designed for people driving Hillman Imps. So what we need now, if you ask me, is to get the current Minister of Transport into an Evo, and we might actually see a decent roads policy for this century. Just a thought. Anyway, back to business. The Evo's overwhelming selling point is the fact that it combines supercar performance with family practicality. And last year on the Fast Lane Motoring programme, we voted this car the greatest all-round car in the world. But that's not to say that it doesn't have a few faults. The rear seats, for example, give you an impressive amount of legroom, but they won't fold flat to allow you to carry long objects in the boot. The boot isn't as large as it should be either, because a lot of it is taken up with the beefy base box. The boot also houses the battery compartment, and something rather odd. Yes, Evo buyers everywhere will be totally baffled the first time their windscreen washers run dry because Mitsubishi have hidden the filler cap in the boot. Which means that when you're on your way to the coast with a fully loaded car, you'll have to stop at the services, unpack all of your nice clean laundry, fill it up, drip cold water all over the boot of your car, and then put your nice clean laundry back on top of it. Genius. Headlamp washers, where they should be. Windscreen washers, not so much. Other downsides include high road tax, stratospheric insurance, and a ride that will sometimes rattle your teeth on certain surfaces. The 330 has inherited that nice big bore exhaust from the 360. Unfortunately, however, it doesn't come with any of the carbon fibre extras that you'd find on its bigger brother. The 330 is still occasionally lethargic, and although that gearbox is definitely better than in the old 300s, it's still not quite right. It's still horrible as an automatic and incredibly hesitant from a standing start. In the manual version, you can nip into a 1/4 of an inch gap in fast-moving traffic and not blink. But this one, unfortunately, makes an awful lot of noise and a lot of fuss and then casually saunters out in front of whatever happens to be coming. Now granted, as soon as you start moving, that gearbox comes into its element, and you make the usual Evo jump to hyperspace. But by then, everybody needs a change of underwear. Toilet roll. Dear passengers. The steering wheel doesn't adjust for reach and there's no height adjustment on the driver's seat. So many may find it difficult to get comfortable and find the right position in this car. But the Evo's real Achilles heel is its thirst. It could drink Olaf the Viking and his entire team of pillagers under the table twice over and still have space to stop off for a couple of gallons on the way home. It's just phenomenal. You put your right foot down and you can almost hear it sucking the tank dry. Foot down, throttle kicks in, and oh, look at it go. But that was £10 in about 4 miles. This week I must have put about £300 worth of fuel in this car. And I think it's about to run out again. Oh, there we go. Yes, I know. Driving it gently. Let's put this into perspective. The Ferrari 458 Italia returns an average combined fuel consumption of around 21 miles per gallon, which is pretty good actually. But that's a V8 4.5 litre. This is a 2 litre, and on the same cycle it will return just 19 miles per gallon, which drops even lower if you're giving it some serious welling.
This is why Mitsubishi can no longer advocate the car with a clear conscience. Set against its new green credentials, it's a complete contrast, almost an embarrassment. An analog watch in a digital age, if you like. The trouble is that demand for the car is as high as ever, and there's even been a large internet campaign dedicated to saving the model. Let's face it, you can see why. In dual clutch mode, this insane paddle shift FQ330 will hit 62 miles an hour in 4.4 seconds. A full 0.3 seconds quicker than the 295 brake horsepower Evo. And that gives you something that will wave its tushy defiantly at an M3 coupe. In 300 form, it's good. In 330 form, it's amazing. And an FQ360 is almost unbeatable. It really has been an amazing ride.
This car has you on the edge of your seat from start to finish with excitement, with moments of greatness thrown in here and there for good measure. You'd have to be insane to buy one, of course, but that's precisely why you should.